All right, you're all set, Bill.
Thank you, Kaylee. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Northborough Traffic Safety Committee meeting for October 14th. It's now 6:32. I'm just going to check. Kaylee, I still don't see the attendees.
I don't see any
Oh,
either.
give me 1 second. One more button to push. Sorry about that.
That's okay. There we go. Okay, now I see them. Thank you. Okay, let's start again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Northborough Traffic Safety Committee. It is now 6:33. We're going to get this meeting started. So let's see. It's not Sergeant McDonald in the attendees list, so we'll get this started. Scott, the first thing on the agenda is lane widths on Lincoln Street.
We received an email from a resident. There's actually a couple email inquiries about pedestrian safety along Lincoln Street. And one of the questions the resident had was about narrowing the lane widths on Lincoln Street. So Josh and I took a look at it. Josh took some measurements. Obviously, the pavement width is wide. The lane widths are 14 feet, Josh. Was that what you measured? I think it was.
Yeah, I got a couple measurements there. The first measurement was close to West Main Street at the crosswalk there. The road was 30 feet wide with 14-foot lanes. Then I got a measurement at the elementary school, close to the crosswalk there. The road width was 28 feet wide, lanes were 13 feet. And then at the crosswalk closest to Pleasant Street, the roadway was 26 feet wide with 11-foot lanes.
Scott, just a quick question for our edification. What's the requirement for lane size?
Well, this is, believe it or not, just considered a local road, and local road minimum lane width is 9 feet, which I certainly would not recommend on this road. You could actually get down to 8 feet, but not with the AADT on this road.
Right.
So 9 foot would be the minimum. What I looked at was a reason and a mechanism for narrowing the lanes. A logical one would be bike lanes. There's two schools on the roadway. There's West Main Street, a state highway at one end. Pleasant Street is kind of from the center area. Maybe worthwhile to consider that. Mass DOT bike lanes are 5 feet wide. The recommended lane width for this roadway would be 10 feet. So that's 3 10s, that's 30. So we don't meet that standard at the Pleasant Street end, but we do at the West Main Street end. So that being said, the only alternative would be to black out the solid white edge lines, commonly referred to as fog lines, and put those, repaint those at 10 feet, at 10 feet lane width. Problem with that is that it doesn't mitigate speed. A driver's perception of speed is driven by what the shoulder is. So, for example, if you're driving down the Pike and you're somewhere in the Framingham area, you're pretty comfortable speeding in the left lane because there's a wide shoulder and the concrete median barrier is pretty far away. It's probably 8 feet away from you. You get down into the curves of Newton, and everybody slows down to 65 or 70 just because of that perception. The lane widths are the same. They haven't changed, but your shoulder is now 3 feet instead of 8. So you just naturally and intuitively slow down. That's one of the reasons the bottleneck occurs there. So it really wouldn't provide much benefit along this roadway to narrow the lane widths. It may appear to. In actuality, you may end up with more courtesy accidents. Courtesy accident is when, a vehicle stops and waves somebody out of Melican, let's say, and they're heading toward Pleasant. They wave them out, but the car behind them doesn't know they're waving them out, and there's plenty of room between the white line and the gutter line for them to pass. So they go to pass, and then there's what's referred to as a courtesy accident. That's that's a problem. That happens a lot, believe it or not. I'm sure we've all kind of seen close misses with people doing that. So that would be one concern in making that change. When I have that kind of courtesy approach, I'll tend to get to the right-hand side, so there is no room for passing, just to prevent vehicles from behind me going on the right side of me.
So
Scott, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
uh,
If the shoulder is a bike lane, does that still happen, that people don't slow down because they assume
They do.
there's a cushion there?
It still occurs. They'll look in their side view mirror first, because if they're responsible-ish, they'll look in their side view mirror and see if there's any bicycles coming, but then they just pass.
Okay.
And it's a problem. But we don't have adequate width for bike lanes, and I would never want to paint, a 3-foot bike lane at the Pleasant Street end, because that's not compliant. If there was ever an accident,
Right.
that would be catastrophic for me personally, as well as for the town.
Absolutely.
Am I breaking up on you guys? Am I
yeah, if you want to turn off your video.
channel 56 from the 70s? All right, there we go.
Okay. One question I have is, are there sidewalks going all the way down the street, down Pleasant, or down Lincoln, sorry?
Yes. One side of the road, the opposite side from Melican, but the side of Lincoln Street Elementary.
Do we see a lot of bikers on that road?
The
There's
kids
probably
going to
kids.
school.
I mean, I see a lot of kids' bikes at the bike rack in Melican.
Yeah.
So there's probably 15 or 20 bikes there.
With that end of the road, you said we couldn't do the bike lane anyway, right? Because it wouldn't be compliant.
Correct.
What was that end? Was it 26?
Which end are you talking about? The one near Pleasant?
Pleasant.
Pleasant.
Yeah.
Pleasant had 26 feet of roadway and 11-foot lanes.
Yeah, a little too short there.
And we've got sidewalks on just one side of the street, right?
Correct. Opposite Melican. Yep.
And those have a buffer, if I recall correctly, or is that the full way down, or is that just partial buffer?
No, they have a solid white edge the full way.
Sorry, grass buffer.
Oh no, that's oh, that's a good question. I know it's a grass buffer up at the West Main Street end. I can take a look at the other end right now. Yes, there is a grass strip.
I know, obviously less than ideal, but is there anything we could do with that to kind of get us some? I know it's more work than just throwing down asphalt, obviously, but is there anything we could do with that to kind of, get more width for that? Is there, I guess, any potential for almost like a shared use path with that?
We could possibly remove the grass strip and provide adequate width. Obviously that's a fiscal decision, as opposed to it's a recommendation that this committee could certainly make, obviously, but let me see how wide it is. I think it's only a couple feet.
Yeah, I don't think it would give us enough. We would probably want something that's two-way accessible there. And
Yeah, I would never put one bike lane in.
Yeah, I guess from a shared use path standpoint, but I
Yep.
don't even think we'd have enough width for that,
Yeah,
unless we could get away with that on one side of the road and use the extra space on the other side of the road.
well, that's what I was thinking is get rid of the grass and maybe do recommend a sidewalk on the other side of the road that gives a hard edge on both sides. right? Which, Scott, to your point, people have a tendency of driving slower when there's a hard edge than a soft edge.
Correct. One of the issues with installing new sidewalks is closed drainage requirement, because now you have an elevated curb and you can't have just sheet flow off the roadway shoulder. So it looks like we'd probably be darn close. We'd probably get it, I'm guessing. We'd probably gain the 4 feet by eliminating the grass strip. But then we would end up putting in vertical curb it'll be relatively shallow because the crown would continue down. One of the other issues is straddling crown. So if we were to get rid of the grass strip, put in asphalt curb the entire length, have adequate width for 2 10s and 2 5-foot bike lanes, the double yellow center line would be shifted and the crown peak would no longer be in the middle, which is incredibly uncomfortable for drivers.
Yeah.
As soon as you cross that crown, you're pulled into the opposing lanes, sort of. It's if you look down at your phone and you look up and front left tire is off the crown, you're gonna drift. You're gonna drift into a head-on position.
We also just did those crosswalks there. Those would have to be redone.
Yeah. I
So
was
the
gonna say-
purpose of the request was to see if reducing the width on the street would reduce speed.
Correct. And I looked
And
at
I
the
think
traffic
that-
counts we did. The
Right.
85th percentile is 35 miles an hour. The zone is 30. So there's really not a noticeable speeding issue here. And I looked across the entire traffic count, all 7 days, and we were at the 34 to 37 mile an hour, 85th percentile. So, and there's 2 school zones there. So when those things are lit up, I would think that 35 would probably drop down to something in the high 20s.
Hopefully.
So yeah, exactly. So while I'm empathetic to the citizens' concerns, everybody's driving faster everywhere. I don't see this as a 48, 42 mile an hour, 46 mile an hour road. It's a 35 and it's posted 30.
I think on that straightaway between the 2 schools, people can probably get up a pretty good amount of speed there till they hit that corner.
Yeah. So I guess from the standpoint of this request, right, it's, we don't really have the space to reduce those travel lanes. Just something that's narrower with good reason without doing a bigger project of some sort.
Right.
And I think, like you said, Scott, straddling the crown line is not going to be comfortable. So I even think it gets into a bigger project at that point.
Yeah, I don't believe any of the 3 PEs on this call would stamp a drawing that has a straddled crown. If Lincoln Street was on the schedule next year for full reclamation, and there was a desire to spend the extra money on doing something like this, great. But that's not the case. We just paved Lincoln Street a couple of years ago.
Yeah, maybe though we do table this for the next time that Lincoln Street is scheduled. And then, maybe that's part of the review.
2025, 2035, 24. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, a few decades away, but
I'm kidding, Mr. Chairman.
Let's not leave it on the agenda, maybe.
yeah, we don't have to discuss it each time, but
2022, 2042, maybe? No. I'll prepare we'll prepare a response to the resident, kind of outlining what these findings were the result of, Josh and I's work over the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And, it's part of the process of vetting is somebody makes a good recommend suggestion and you vet it out and see if it's viable or not.
yeah.
Thank you guys for looking
Yep.
into that so much too.
And maybe, maybe one of the things we can recommend to the police as well is using their signs over the summer, right, when the schools are out, to see what, to see if the speeds increase without those school zones activated.
There's also an opportunity maybe at the end of the fiscal year to put in another one of the PD's driver alert signs that's permanent and solar. We were going to have one located on the West Main Street end of Lincoln Street, but I couldn't find a good location in respect to residents' concerns. So if you find a paired section, maybe between Lincoln Street Elementary and Melican, where there's kind of the wooded area where the new houses were, kind of in that area, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see Brian's in. Let me bring Brian in here. Hey, Brian.
Hey, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What time does this start?
6:30?
Okay, because it says 7 o'clock call to order, slightly under that on the agenda.
Oh,
The top says 6:30.
yeah, the top
They
says
changed
6:30, but
the
you're right.
calendar invites
the-
too, but this was the first week we started doing 6:30.
Oh, it had been 7 o'clock over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the blame for that one. I guess I missed that when I reviewed the agenda. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, I guess, are there any public comments or other comments on this? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the next one, speeding on Crawford Street. I have seen a couple posts. I did read the email, but Scott, if you want to go through the email that we received.
Certainly. So a resident reached out to Public Works and Select Board and Traffic Safety regarding concern with speeding on Crawford Street. They unfortunately suffered a pet fatality on the roadway. And as you said, I believe there's been some postings on social media I have heard. So we looked at a couple things about Crawford Street. Different items that were brought up from the resident. One of the things was speed bumps. Another mention was striping it, meaning double yellow center line. So Crawford Street is a major collector. That's a Federal Highway Administration classification for a roadway. No transportation design regulations suggest any form of speed humps or bumps on a major collector. Only minor collectors and local roads. So speed humps are not an option on this roadway. The other suggestion was the double yellow center line, and this committee actually looked at that years ago. Believe it or not, this committee has been around for plural years. So that was looked at in early 2024, I believe. And the determination was due to the traffic volume and variable width that double yellow center lines are not warranted. Major collectors, MUTCD, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, indicates that double yellow center lines are a viable option on urban collectors that are over 4,000 ADT. And Crawford Street is, how much was it, Josh? Was it 20?
So I'm sorry, what were you looking for the width?
No, I think the AADT was like 2,600.
Oh,
That's what I had.
Bill, Sergeant McDonald's in the waiting room.
yeah, looks like you're right, Scott, 2,600.
Yep. Okay. So Again, we don't reach the criteria of traffic volume to warrant WL centerline. The variable width can be problematic, just because of the driver's urge to stay on their side of the WL centerline in some of those very narrow areas on the West Main Street end. And then speed humps or other traffic mitigating devices are not recommended for major collector roadways, which this is.
Can you just explain, like, in a way I could understand in the non-engineer way, what a major collector versus minor collector is?
So you have local roads, the roads buzzing around Northgate. You could have a minor collector, which I'm guessing would not be Northgate. I'm guessing that's a major collector, something that buzzes all the way through Northgate. If Meadow was a normal road that didn't turn 47 times and change, direction constantly, that would likely be a minor collector.
Maybe like Chesterfield?
Yeah, Chesterfield, that's a good one. Yeah, that would likely be a minor collector. And then they have arterial roads, which would be like a state numbered town-owned state number like South Street. And then you go up to, highways and the likes. And there's a formal classification process done by Federal Highway Administration and Mass DOT is the kind of the ruling authority. Their recommendations go to the feds. The feds make their determinations, and then they come down. So the town really has no control over what that roadway classification is.
Okay.
It does provide guidelines to federal state entities about what can and can't be done on that roadway, what can and can't be funded on that roadway. Local road is something that people drive down to access their homes primarily, or to get to another neighborhood to access a home. That's really not Crawford. Crawford Street people go from Church to West Main. That's generally what they're doing. Most of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have 2,600 cars per day driving up and down that road. There's not that many houses there.
What you're saying is that it's
you.
not enough to actually get to the criteria where it's not an official. It's busy enough to be dangerous, but it's not busy enough to get
Right.
any
Yeah.
sort of traffic control.
Yep, and the town doesn't make the determinations on the roadway classification. We just follow the guidelines based on. I mean, you literally, if you imagine a manual, you look through, you say, "Oh, local road, no. A minor collector, no. Oh, major collector. Here's what I can do," and that's kind of the process.
So Scott, I remember when we were talking about Route 20, you said there was a formula in terms of, the traffic on the road and the accident data. Do we have that for Crawford? Do we know what accident data versus the amount of traffic on the road, whether, it's elevated?
I don't know, Tom. Any?
I can't do it now, but I can look it up at work. I looked up at accidents because they made claims that there's like all these accidents like at their house. And I found 4 since 1989. 2 were in 96, 1 was in 12, and then the rollover in 21, I think it was. So, but I mean, I could look up basically our system. We updated it, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. So our old system, I guess it'll access, it goes from 1989 to like 7 years ago. And then the new one's the most recent. So I can look up crash data for the length of Crawford Street for the last basically 35 years, 30 years.
But I think what that crash data is going to tell us more so for that formula you were talking about was intersection control.
Well, I can just look up any accident we booked on Crawford Street.
Right.
So regardless of where or how or why.
Yeah, I think. Do we have speed data by any chance? There, do you know of?
So I had a sign up on Crawford, which would be eastbound, I guess, going toward church.
Okay.
And I put it like in the area of like 100. So down the other end, closer to like Franklin Circle. And it was there from May 27th to June 14th. So I have that data. I just put one going the other way, westbound, in front, like right before their house. And that was about a week ago. I was going to leave it for 2 weeks and then try to flip it the other way so I can get both ways.
Hmm.
But essentially, I mean, if they were ever going to do a speed, like, what do you call it?
The speed study.
Yeah, for that road, the 85th percentile is 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's the
So-
dangerous thing about trying to reduce the speed limit.
Right.
Is, you know,
It's
judging
the
how
daily
they're
average
actually
speed
doing
for
it.
every day on that road was 32 point something ish, up to 33.1. But the 85th percentile was either 39 or 40 miles an hour.
And what's the speed limit on that road?
30.
30.
So they'd raise it 10 miles an hour, basically. If they did, you know, because that's how they figure it. 85% of the people are, in theory, going about their day trying to get where they're going safely. 15% are most likely speeding or doing something wrong. But if 85% of the people can go safely 39, 40 miles an hour, that's what the road can accept. That's what they'll go with.
Right.
Do we have
And
any?
I just want to make one thing clear when Sergeant McDonald talks about you know, the accident data, that's accidents reported to the police department,
Correct.
right? There may be minor fender benders. You know, this is one of the things I sort of brought up before, that I'm sure the insurance companies have information as far as, you know, what some roads might have, you know, fender benders and
Yep.
things like that, but we don't have access to that. So
And yeah, I can only look up what we get sent to, essentially. Whether and it might not even be one that we booked. Like if we got sent to a minor, some people just want us there and we say, yeah, okay, here's each other's information. We don't even do a report on it. Like I'd still have that we responded. But that's the best I can do looking it up.
right.
Yeah, there's no public record access to insurance claims and
Yeah.
reportings and the like.
No, and I don't think that there's a central insurance database for looking
I
up
mean,
locations of certain accidents.
If you fill out a crash report, I mean, you have to send one to the police department it happened, your insurance company, and the RMV. So the RMV must have all the data you need. It's just, I don't know how you get it from them,
Right.
but they would have it.
Were there any big outliers on that speed at all?
Yeah.
that you-
Each week there was, let's see, that was 14. There was a few that are flying.
yeah.
14,
And I mean-
12, and then so 1 week it was 14 cars, 1 week it was 12, and then the next week it was 21 going 51 to 55,
Wow.
which I mean that's flying, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
we had when we were doing the traffic counts on Bartlett Street after Amazon moved in, we had a motorcycle that topped it out at 99 plus. Just you knew it because you saw him go one direction at like 38, and then one motorcycle turns around and comes in the other direction at almost over 100.
Right.
So it's just people seeing the sign saying, "Let's see if I can
Well,
make it."
And that's what I've said before. When I put these up, I have them automatically shut off at 15 over. So on that road, they just go blank at 45 because you want to avoid the kids or adults, I guess, whoever trying to see the high score type thing.
Right.
So you just have it go blank so they can't do that to try to discourage it. But you're obviously, and also though, it's tough with these signs. They just give you broad numbers. I mean, a couple of those could be a cruiser going to to a medical or to a call. So you can't tell what's what. It just gives you numbers. So, but I mean, those are obviously crazy ones. There's a good amount that go 46 to 50, which is obviously still way too fast. But I can send this to whoever too. But obviously, there's a giant bell curve. There is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these ones out here are like the people flying, and then pretty much everyone else is between 26 to 30 and 41 to 45. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. That's narrow. It's a narrow road.
Yeah. And then you get, let's see, I think it breaks it down. I don't think it does.
Scott, really quick, would we be able to do a single yellow line on that road? I know
There
we
is
can't do a double.
there is really no such thing. I've seen communities that put them in just like around a sharp curve. We actually had one in Northborough on Brewer Street where Brewer Street turns into the DOT frontage road, the short Brewer, a little piece of single white, a single yellow, but there really isn't a single yellow anywhere. So, Chris, have you ever used a single yellow like legitimately in the corners with MUTCD?
Not not that I could think of off the top of my head. Maybe if it was ever a broken line, but no. I think the issue kind of with painting the line, right, is it's almost like painting a mid-block crossing where it gives kind of a false sense of security where it's my space versus your space. And if you encroach on my space, then that's your problem. And that can always be dangerous too.
Yeah. So that's a good point, Chris. You have a false sense of security and you come around a corner on your side of the double yellow, but there's some jamoke on the other side pulling a landscape trail across in it. And, you know,
So I do have
jamoke
a
is my
hand
word of
up
mouth, by the
here.
way.
So let me pull this person in.
Hey,
Hi, if you can
pull
just
them
state
both
your
in. They're the owners of the residence. If you want to just pull them both in, I think that would be appropriate.
okay. Sure, if you just want to state your name and address.
If you're able to hear me okay, I'm Jonathan
Yes.
Pryor from 292 Crawford Street.
And this is Gina Pryor from 292 Crawford Street.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, just a point of clarification. The statement made earlier that like we allege that there are quite a few accidents. Obviously, there was the rollover, but maybe these things do go unreported because they're not accidents with other vehicles, but cars are constantly striking the stone walls and getting blown out tires, and maybe they're just calling a tow truck, but not calling the police force because there's not an accident to report. But at least twice a month, there's a car being towed off the road because they've struck a stone wall because two cars can't pass each other at the same time on the road. So as far as the proclivity towards accidents, I think your data surrounding two vehicle collisions is not really congruent with what's actually happening on the road. Another thing, just in my basic understanding of what I've heard so far, is if 85% of drivers can speed on a road, that data would support upping the speed limit to the speed at which people can travel without getting into accidents. Is that correct?
yeah, essentially the
Okay,
85th
that's
percentile.
wild information. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. The public should know that. So
Yeah,
we could get
if-
we could get the speed limits up to 65 downtown if everybody was able to just rip around but not hit each other. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you Google the 85th percent, essentially what the DOT or whoever sets speed limits, the state, they assume that 85% of the people on the road are trying to get where they're going safely. They travel, they're not speeding, they're not driving recklessly, they're just going about their day. And so when they look at a road, they look at what 85% of the cars do, not the top speeds, not the low speeds, but what 85 do. And they set it accordingly. So they figure if 85% of the cars can go 40 miles an hour on the road, that road can handle 40 miles an hour. And then they set it accordingly.
All right. That's new and shockingly dangerous information, but
Right, 40,
that is
40
good to know.
on your 40 on Crawford Street's quick. I mean,
Yeah.
I could see 35, but 40 is outrageous.
So I even struggle to see that. So like a road like Davis Street between the south side of 20 headed all the way down into Westboro, that's 25 miles an hour, significantly wider and a double yellow road. So that's 25 and Crawford Street is 30. Well, why don't we just up everything to 45 and just say, let it rip, Tater Chip? Like this, it just seems counterintuitive to me.
the DOT's standard practice, and I'll echo what Sergeant McDonald said. In order to amend a speed limit on a roadway, you do a speed study. You submit the data to Mass DOT. They review it, provide their either approval or comments, and their comments or their approval or comments are based upon the 85th percentile. So
Okay.
that's the
So
state.
speed limits really can't go down, they can only go up.
That's
Well,
that's a
so-
lot of citizens, generally speaking, anytime they request a speed study, we'll go out there, we'll put the counters out, or the sergeant will put his sign out, and then we have this discussion. It's unfortunate, but roadways were designed and built for 1972 Plymouth Furies, and now they're being driven around by 2022
So
self-driving actuators.
anytime we see those boxes go up that do the radar and flash your speed, the faster you go on that road without getting into an accident, the more likely for the speed limit to increase.
No.
I'm understanding that correctly?
No. So
Sean.
wait. Let me clear the air here, okay? Number one, that box that you're seeing is a point in time single location of a street. Number two, that is not a study,
Okay.
right? That is a single device that we will use sometimes if we find something like your area that you're talking about, right? That's not what would be considered a full speed study. However, if we did ask for a speed study, they would pick multiple places along that road to put these type of counters in. And then that's how they would find what that 85th percentile is. So I just wanted to clear the air here that
Okay.
we're not saying that, all we're taking this one piece of data, but this one piece of data, it is, what we have to go on. It's the same thing with, like we were mentioning before about the accident reports, right? We
Yep.
can only get what's reported to the police. We don't have access to what, if somebody, pops a tire on a wall.
Yep.
So we can't go by what we think happens, right? First thing we try to do is we try to get data, and then we'll work on that. One of the things we did about 9 months ago is we actually had a survey in town to bring down the town default speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Nobody wanted that.
Yeah, I could see how the masses would not. So let me ask you this from a hypothetical standpoint. If somebody were to want to try and get the speed limit on their street lowered, I can't think of one single fathomable way that could possibly happen with all the things that you've told me so far. So I'm
There
asking
is.
this board, who should be subject matter specialists in that, how would somebody go about trying to get the speed limit lowered?
Scott, do you want to answer that?
What is the speed limit on the road? Sorry.
It's 30 miles an hour.
So I guess, and I totally understand, Jonathan. I live on Allen Street. People fly by my house all the time, trying to back out of my driveway. I close my eyes half the day. So the speed study to lower the speed limit from 30 to say 25, right? I don't think that's gonna solve the issue of people flying on the road, right?
No, and the speed study, if anything, would only raise the speed limit based on the data that we got.
Unfortunately, and it
Yeah.
happens a lot.
Yeah, hence the question, how would somebody go about getting it lowered? And it seems like the answer is there is no conceivable way to get that done.
There may be, and I'm pretty confident there's a local process for consideration. So under Mass General Law, or if a local municipality votes to adopt a certain law, it allows the select board to reduce the speed limit on certain roads to 25 miles an hour. It still would require a DOT approval. And I'm not sure if they would approve it. I don't know if we've adopted that law. I'm a civil engineer, as is the assistant director. We follow the Federal Highway Administration's guidelines first, and then Mass DOT, or DOT's first, then Federal Highway second. So there is a possible opportunity to lower it for lack of better terms, arbitrarily, to 25 miles an hour. I can look with the town clerk to see if we have adopted that local bylaw, that local law, and if we have, then I can make that recommendation to this committee, and we can see if it grows any legs, and it could be reduced to 25 miles an hour. But again, to echo what Chris said, you put up a sign that says 25, people are still going to drive what they feel comfortable. It really
Correct. And I totally understand that. And I also, it would make infractions at a lower threshold more easily enforceable. And I don't mean to come off obtuse at all. I really appreciate the quick response that all of you have had to our issues. The police department with the additional presence has been fantastic. People coming out to help clean up the roadway. So I know my frustration is coming out right now, but I do want to say thank you for everything that you've done to this point. Really just trying to see if there is any way to go about mitigating this in any way. So anything that can be done, we certainly appreciate, but even just your response to this point is very much appreciated. So I just wanted to make that clear.
let me, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, let me talk to the clerk, find out what's been adopted and not adopted, and reach out to the resident and the committee. And if it's been adopted, then we can put it on a future agenda, and the committee can consider it and make a recommendation to the select board, and the select board can then act on the recommendation, which Jonathan, would be in an open meeting, and they always welcome public comment. So we'll do our best to keep you in the loop, and if it's okay with the chair, we'll go in that direction.
Yeah, Scott, I think too that if I remember correctly, the town-wide law that we were reviewing before can also be put on individual streets.
It can be, yeah. And then that adoption would be
Wasn't that non-posted?
on non-posted, correct?
That's on non-posted.
This is posted.
That road's posted, so
Okay.
it would have to go through a different avenue.
Different process. Gotcha.
Yep.
Can I just ask a further question? I completely want to echo everything that my husband said. The police presence has been noticed, has been making a difference. My whole family appreciates it. My initial request, first when I reached out to the chief, and then when he directed me to reach out to this committee, was not even so much around reducing the speed limit. I was more curious, and my reason for asking for speed bumps and or bollards was to eliminate Crawford Street being a cut through, because that is where the speed is coming from. It's not just like, I understand, and this is where, and I will be quiet in a second, I would love to be educated on this, and I think I'm starting to understand that maybe the state controls it more than the town does. But the issue around the speed is primarily in during rush hour times. So it's when I'm leaving to bring my kid to school. It's when our animal got hit and killed. It's when people are coming home. And my reason for speaking up about this is we're building 2 new homes right near our house. More families with children are going to be moving to this road. So while I heard before, there's not enough houses on that road to make it residential, I would go to bat to say there is. It's one of the most populated roads in Northborough, even though a lot of the houses are set back off the road. So I guess my question is twofold. One, is there any way in any world that we would ever eliminate it being a cross through from Church Street over to West Main? And if not, what do we have to do to get it classified as more residential? It seems crazy to me that it's not.
The roadway classification process is driven by Mass DOT up to the Federal Highway Administration, back down to Mass DOT, and then released to the communities. We have absolutely no control over what a roadway classification is. If communities were given that kind of control, it would be pretty awkward and at free random on what they're doing and where they're doing it. The goal for the Federal Highway Administration is to have uniformity across the country. So when you're on a road, you can understand and expect what you're engaging in when you get there. Same thing with the interstate signs. They all look the same. There's a reason for that. So we really have no control over that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Scott. I do appreciate that. I'm really just trying to understand.
No, and we understand absolutely what your concerns are, and
Yeah.
we're
If-
empathetic toward them, and are here to help.
Yeah, if you're able to find that information about if that, that legal process has been adopted, that would be great to know. And then we'll take it through that, that avenue. And then once everything's exhausted, things, they are what they are, and we move on with life. I've gotten some nice support from my homemade road signs that I've put up. So hopefully those will help continue to motivate people to slow down. But we do appreciate everything that you've done so far and what
Yeah.
you say you'll continue to do.
Like you said, with the signs those are, when going back to when they said about the actual speed study, that's more just for, I figured out we could use those. We weren't using that data for a long time, and I talked to the company and found out we could get it. So you guys are not alone. I mean, everyone in town that says cars are speeding on their streets. We have a lot of streets. We have anywhere from 2 to 5 officers at most working. There's only so many places you can be.
Yeah.
So I try to, when people request them, I put them up for a couple of weeks, try to just look at it and say, how bad is the problem? Is there people like you had a few? I was saying before, you got in 1 week, there was 69 cars going between 46 and 50, which that's insane.
Right.
But we don't know when they are. It doesn't have times, unfortunately. It just gives me
Raw data.
So it's like, all right, well, we'll go sit there as much as we can. But there's 100 other streets in town that people want to see cruisers in, and there's might only be 2 people working. So we do our best, but that just helps me kind of get data, and I can send it to you if you want. Just send me an email. I can forward it. I put the one near your house now.
Mhm.
I wanted that up for 2 weeks, and then I was going to try to put another one up going the other way, so I could get basically 2 weeks each way, just to kind of see, is it worse one way versus the other? But kids or maybe adults, who knows? Sometimes they do try to, jack up the speeds just to see. It's fun, and you can't figure out which ones of those are outliers, or if it's just someone screwing around, or people actually driving like that regularly. It's just,
Yeah.
It's tough to tell.
Yeah.
Scott, one question I have. I know going back a while, I think there was, and this might have been through the MPO, on Bartlett Street, they did a road safety audit.
Yep.
Is that something we could consider for this street, so we could kind of get the data and kind of identify things we could, that could be looked into the future?
Yeah, that was done through CMRPC, and we engaged our engineering consultant to provide the required data for the roadway safety audit. It often results in soft suggestions.
Right.
Like Bartlett Street, that was the one I was saying the motorcycle went 99 plus.
Mhm.
They said put it in bike lanes. Thanks. That's helpful.
Yeah.
And they basically regurgitate a lot of the data. Not to belittle the process, but regurgitate a lot of the data that we're assimilating now, we're accumulating now, and they just put it in a 42-page report.
Right.
So the majority of the hourly effort on a roadway safety audit is walking the entire road with all interested parties.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, it was the schools, it was CMRPC, it was residents, it was select board, it was all sorts of people. And the results were, well, you see, nothing's changed.
Yeah, underwhelming to say the least.
Yes. Overwhelming level of work for an underwhelming deliverable.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember that I was one of the people that walked that, and I remember the police coming out to actually guide us because they were so afraid of us getting hit while we were doing that.
Yep. Couple details, part of the cost.
Yeah. Okay, so Scott, you're gonna talk to the town clerk. If they come back and say that, we haven't, started down the road of that law, then let's find out what we need to do to make a recommendation to do that.
Yep, the process will be either yes, we did, and let's take the next step quickly, or no, we have not, and let's get a global approach to adopting that locally so that we can address these concerns in the future quickly.
Correct.
Yep, and I'll let you know, Jonathan and Gina. I'm not sure whose email I get. I emailed Gina, but it's Jonathan's name, so you'll get something from me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Just want to be kept in the loop. Thank you again for your time and your efforts so far.
Yeah.
The only other
Thank
thing
you.
the only other thing I might suggest is, we talked about not having sufficient data on the accidents. Send us an email every time a car pops a tire on the stone wall.
Yeah, that's a great point. Keep our own sort of data that we can as we see it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can. I
it's-
mean, if you want, call us. We'll send a cruiser.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably need lights if they're getting towed out of there. It's a tough
Right.
fuck to get towed anyway.
Well, and I will say there's one member on this board, I won't mention any names, Rachel, who used to send us photographs of trucks on Bartlett Street. And we kept that information and we use that information for, trucking issues on Bartlett Street. So it definitely helps.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
someone put up a trail camera and that was very helpful too. Not for the trails, but for counting the amount of
Yeah.
trucks that were going in the wrong direction. So just an idea.
Yeah, no, this has all been very helpful and very educational. I appreciate this whole committee.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Okay. So next item, Scott, is the discussion on the 2.5 versus 5-ton HCVE.
Yeah, this should be really quick and easy. There's no difference from the side of the road. You're standing on the side of the road on the sidewalk. You will not tell the difference between 2.5 and 5. The only help it provides is enforcement. It's a little easier for PD to realize it's a 5-ton as opposed to 2.5. An educated set of eyes will be able to determine that. The likes of me, or any regular citizen, you're not going to tell the difference. Landscape trailer goes by with 1 mower instead of 3. It's a loud, rattly trailer. Well, 3 may be over 5 tons. 1 is not. Either way, it's going too fast. It's a truck that's making a lot of noise. So my suggestion or recommendation is if DOT is going in the direction of 5 tons everywhere, maintain consistency. Go 5 tons. If not, this will be the last 2.5 ton we do.
What does the rest of the board think?
Sorry, are we suggesting increasing the lower limit of what a HCV is, or what a heavy commercial vehicle counts as?
Yes, Mass DOT. We did the truck exclusion study for Pleasant Street and Lincoln Street. We sent the findings into Mass DOT asking for a 2.5 ton truck exclusion. They came back saying, as a courtesy, saying, hey, by the way, in the next couple of months, we're going to raise that limit to 5 tons, which is actually what the Federal Highway Administration has, and we'll be more in line with them. Do you want to amend your request to 5 tons? Or are you going to stick with 2.5? FYI, all future requests will be 5 tons. We're not going to allow 2.5 tons anymore.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's more a question of just this next one, because the one after it is going to be a 5-ton, whether we want it to be or not. Right, Scott?
Correct, 100%.
And then the 2.5s that we currently have, do those automatically go up to 5?
No, they'll remain. Sorry, Tom.
I just had a quick question. I'm not really involved in this one, but like my pickup truck is it's a full-size Tundra, is a little over 2.5 tons, like as is.
Yep.
So if it had letters or commercial plates, I would be excluded.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that seems. I mean, Joe Schmo's truck. Yeah, I don't know. That seems kind of weird.
You're
That's
not
all. I was
gonna
just
know
making
it.
sure I wanted to understand it. That's all.
Yeah, if you have a regular F-350 dump body with no trailer, you're violating. If you have, mine, a 1500 with a trailer and 3 4-wheelers on it, I'm violating it. So at 5 tons.
But if you had a trailer and 4-wheelers on it, that would be fairly loud, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and you want to get that,
So I
off.
wouldn't consider that. I wouldn't consider that a false positive, as it were. I would consider that, that is the type of vehicle that should be excluded.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was just saying my regular full size truck with nothing, not towing anything, nothing in it, is over 5,000 pounds.
Well, that's a different problem.
Yep. You put a commercial plate on that and you're not driving on the road, which is pretty much every
Interesting.
landscaper who's plowing in the winter.
Huh.
An F-250 with a 9-foot Fisher on the front, that's over 2.5 tons, and that's a pullover offense, unless you're doing business on the road, which is not really, I don't think, the intent of the exclusion.
Between the
Well,
letter
aren't
and the
those-
spirit, right?
Yeah.
Aren't those trucks putting extra wear and tear on the roads?
No, the roadways are all designed for H25 loading, 25,000 pounds per axle. There's no wear and tear associated with it. Anything over that can be problematic, but no, the roads are designed for the load.
So what does everyone think? I mean, this is just all we're talking about is the Lincoln and Pleasant Street one. Really.
I think if it's heading in that direction, we might as well just incorporate it now.
Yeah. Just kicking the can down the road if we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my inkling, you know me, I'm the conservative, so my inkling would be to, because there are 2 schools on there, to go with 2.5. But now that you've educated me on, how inclusive that is in terms of pickup trucks and things like that, we're probably better off with a 5-ton.
Brian?
Well, I still think we should stick at 2.5. As you said, there's 2 schools there. If ever there's a case to have it better safe than sorry.
So Scott, do you need an official vote from us?
Yeah, I need to respond to Mass DOT on our approach, and then their next step is to respond to us saying it's approved as either, or it's approved for adoption to the select board as either 2.5 or 5, and then we go to the select board and ask them to adopt it in the bylaws, and then we tell DOT it's been adopted in the bylaws, and then DOT can send us the signs, and then we can install the signs. So
Right. Now, are we making a recommendation for the select board to amend this?
no, you're directing me to tell DOT 2.5 or 5.
Okay. And then it's going to be up to the select board to actually adopt it.
Well, the DOT will then authorize adoption of whatever this committee chooses.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to adopt the Pleasant Street and Lincoln Street, or to amend the Pleasant Street, Lincoln Street HCVE to a 5-ton instead of a 2.5-ton?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay. Roll call vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Brian?
No.
And I'm an aye. So it's 4-1, Scott.
Okay. I'm happy to send that out, and I'll copy you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And now Whitney at Barefoot, HCVE and bridge exclusion. I know we've been kicking the can down on this one for a while. I think we need to come up with a solution or recommendation here. So just to bring everyone back up to speed, there's a 6-ton restriction on a bridge on Whitney Street down near the Berlin line. There's a 5-ton HCVE going the other way on Whitney Street if you come up from Barefoot. And so what our choice is really is to keep trucks from going down over that 6-ton bridge limit, is to basically temporarily, Scott, I think you put a bag over the sign to the ability to make a left-hand turn, coming up
Yes.
Barefoot and making a left onto Whitney.
Yeah, and we would put up additional signage indicating, all trucks left turn only. And our expectation is that DOT is going to restrict that bridge to either a single lane, bidirectional, with temporary traffic controls on each side, or close it in its entirety. And it may be coming sooner than later, because when they see bridges in this condition, they act quickly, especially when there's a railroad passing underneath. So I think bagging the sign and saying all trucks take a left is the appropriate approach, because the select board adopted the restriction. I think this committee, as an advisory committee, makes that recommendation to the select board, and the select board formally suspends the truck exclusion on Whitney Street from Barefoot southbound to Church Street.
Right. And my only concern is there aren't going to be a lot of happy campers on this who live on Whitney Street. But
I know a couple of them.
I don't see any other alternative. Any
They won't
other
be going by
members?
Babcock and Coolidge. They'll be going the other direction
Right.
toward town, which is where we want them to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bill, I agree with you.
Seems like this is the only, I don't like use the word solution, because I don't think it is one, but there's nowhere else for them to go. They can't go on the bridge. So
Right. That's a big time safety hazard.
we're not going to have people making a U-turn at the end of Barefoot.
Rachel,
And we-
you've experienced a few tractor trailer U-turns, right? When they went the direction they shouldn't have gone.
Oh yeah, right by the high school. It's a lot more dangerous than
A little
just letting them
unpleasant.
go.
And imagine
Yeah.
going down the Babcock Road to try to turn around, and that slope, that would not be good.
Yeah.
They'll slow down traffic on Whitney a little bit.
And unfortunately, we can't send them to Berlin. That would be the easier solution, but
Mhm.
okay. So, do I have a motion to make a recommendation to the select board? Scott, how do we put, I don't want to call it putting a bag over it. What do we call it?
To
Temporarily
suspend the
suspending?
southbound heavy commercial vehicle exclusion on Whitney Street from Barefoot to Church.
Okay, so a motion to recommend to the select board of a temporary suspension of the HCVE from Barefoot down Whitney Street to Church Street.
I'll make the motion. I can't repeat that because I'll get lost.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Brian? Oh, you're on mute. Brian?
Aye.
Was that an aye?
Yes, it was.
Okay, sorry. Chris?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Rachel? And I'm an aye. So Scott, just let me know when that meeting is that the select board brings that up, and I'll be happy to attend.
Yep, I'll put the memo together. My expectation is it will likely be on October 20th, this coming Monday's agenda, just because I want to have us be in advance of whatever DOT does down there.
Okay.
Maybe this is a stupid question, but we don't have any sort of timeline for fixing that bridge, correct?
That's what
No.
we're waiting for
Sounds
DOT
like
to come up
never.
with.
It'll
Yeah,
be years.
that's
It'll
what
be-
that's my fear, is that this is going to be temporary until the sun swallows up the earth.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
many of
And
us
this is
drove down
literally a
Lake
quarter mile
Ave
from
next
my
to the
house.
hospital, and that was up there for probably 8 years. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to be a while.
So I have a question because it came up last meeting about the fires, if the fire truck going over that bridge at some point, if they close that down, the people who are living on the other side are going to be waiting a while for public safety. Is there a way to enlist Berlin or a neighboring town, or is that closer if there's an emergency and a public safety vehicle needs to get there?
We got an advance notice from DOT about this pending lane restriction / closure. I reached out to our emergency management director, Chief Parenti. The response time increases very slightly. It's not a big difference in response time. I can't tell you what the time is, but it was not met with, it was an acceptable increase in response time.
Yeah. I'm sure they would probably just go, my guess is they would just go down barefoot and then follow Hudson or Solomon Pond, maybe through Berlin and go around
Oh,
those.
I know they
Those
jump on
rotaries would be
church.
tough,
They
but
jump on church and go to 290 and do 120 miles an hour to get there. I have no idea, but
yeah.
it wasn't a catastrophic response.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
My plow driver, that's a different story. We got to get out there with an
Barefoot back and
F-250
forth.
with a Toyota Tundra.
Yeah.
Tom's going to get out there and plow it for us.
Snow blower
Yeah.
kept on the side, just on the sidewalk all winter. Okay, so approval of minutes for September 9th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th, 2025?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, yep. Roll call vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Brian?
Present. I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay, and I'm an aye. So our next meeting is November 11th is a holiday. So we won't have a meeting in November. We can have a discussion whether we want to move it to some other time or we just skip November. What does everyone think?
I'm going to be away on the 18th, and the 4th is my son's birthday. So I mean, I can always blow off my son, but can't blow off
Can't
surgery.
blow off
So
the- yeah.
sorry.
Well, and I have planning board the 4th and the 18th as well.
Yeah.
So
I think we
I
can
can't do
just
those.
move it to December.
Yeah.
The 25th is Thanksgiving week. I don't think anyone wants to meet
Nope.
during that week. So I say we just,
Like
unless
December 9th.
something comes up, we'll just plan on not meeting in November.
That works here.
Yep.
So then the
works.
next meeting would be December 9th.
Yep.
Are we still all okay with 6:30?
I mean, personally, I prefer 7, but I can do 6:30 now that I know it's 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I still thought that it was 7 too, so sorry about that.
No, that's okay. And the
I'm not
agenda
gonna
was a
lie,
little
it made me feel a
confusing,
lot
so-
better when you logged on right after.
Yeah. So we'll plan on 6:30 on December 9th. And then, each month we can just reevaluate if we have to. With that, there are no attendees. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss before we adjourn?
I was actually hoping to get an update on the Route 20 and 135 intersection. Now that we've had the HCVE on Summer Street for a couple of months, I know that was a concern of this board or committee, whether sending trucks through downtown would snarl up that intersection. I was wondering what sort of data we have on that.
Anything, Tom? DPW hasn't seen. I mean, I go through that intersection a lot, and I haven't seen a tractor trailer taking that right yet.
I've seen a couple. They take it from the left lane, but it hasn't. I mean, they're swinging wide enough that they're making their own room. But I'm unaware of any accidents we've been sent to. I can check, but I have not heard any issues.
But they are having to move to the left lane. to take.
Yeah, they can't, a truck and trailer can't make that right, like a hard 90-degree right. So they have to swing it wide. They're basically taking it from the left lane. I've seen it like twice in the last month or two. Just kind of noticed that it sticks out. You go, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
But
How
My
about on
concern is that
Brigham
is
Street?
somebody coming up on that right-hand lane, planning on making a left-hand turn, right? Because you sort of have to do that
Right.
if you're going to turn down Whitney or go into CVS.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gotta pay
And-
attention to the blinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they're usually, they start going. I mean, they make that, once they start going, they commit, and it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I haven't heard of any side swipes or crashes or any major issues, or, a truck getting stuck because took it too wide and there's cars on 20, I haven't heard anything. So seems to be
Okay.
working out.
That answer your question, Brian?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Anything else? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
No second it.
Okay. Roll call vote. Rachel,
I
Kate,
I
Brian, Chris,
Aye.
and I'm an I. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
too.
Thank you.